Welcome back, everyone, to Laugh and Learn English, the podcast where we master English through short, funny stories that are way too real to be fake. And trust me, today's story is so relatable you might cry, laugh, or both.
I'm already excited. You messaged me last night saying, this story broke me. And anytime Linda says a story broke her, I know something hilarious is coming.
Oh, it absolutely broke me. I had tears streaming down my face at 1 a.m. So today, we're teaching English by exploring a misunderstand, item so huge that it could power the entire New York City subway.
And the best part is that misunderstandings like this actually help learners improve their English. Funny moments stick in the brain like super glue.
And this one sticks harder than glue because it involves a researcher, a library, and a phrase so innocent that it destroys the human soul. Read first.
Poor researcher. I already feel the embarrassment building like a slow burn horror film.
All right, let me start reading the story slowly. Listeners, take a deep breath. Relax. Imagine you're in New York City, sunlight bouncing off skyscrapers, yellow taxis honking like they're being paid for it.
And imagine you're tired, confused, slightly lost, and extremely hopeful that the library has air conditioning.
Perfect, here we go. Slow read first. A researcher was visiting the United States for the first time last summer. While walking around New York City, taking photos, looking at shops, and enjoying the day, the researcher got tired. They saw a quiet library across the street and thought, perfect, a break.
Already realistic. I also enter libraries to escape life, heat, and my own responsibilities.
As soon as they walked inside, the researcher asked the librarian, "Excuse me, what's the code I need to look up my topic?"
And the librarian responded like a wise grandmother who gives advice nobody asked for.
Yes, the librarian smiled and said, "Read first."
That's the moment their destiny crumbled.
The researcher nodded seriously. "Oh, I must read before I get the code. Very educational."
I love how polite researchers always are. They'll accept anything. If the librarian said, solve world hunger first, they'd probably just nod and start planning.
So the researcher grabbed a random book, sat down, and read for a few minutes, even though they had no idea what the book was about.
Beautiful. Reading with the intensity of someone trying to impress a librarian who absolutely does not care.
After reading, the researcher went back and asked again, "Okay, I read. Now, can I have the code?"
And the librarian said,
"Read first." Even happier than before.
She probably thought she was helping. She thought she was being crystal clear.
The researcher was confused. How much reading do they want? A whole book? A whole series?
At this point, I'd assume she wanted me to read the entire library alphabetically.
Same. The researcher started thinking about complaining to the manager.
The universal sign of frustration. You know, it's bad when a researcher who normally has the patience of a monk reaches the manager stage.
Then the researcher finally saw a small sign on the wall. Topic access code. Read first.
Boom, instant emotional damage.
The researcher froze. Oh no, that was the code the whole time. They turned red, apologized to the librarian, and the librarian laughed kindly. "Don't worry," she said. "Happens every week."
That ending is amazing. Imagine embarrassing yourself and realizing it's a weekly event.
Honestly, the librarian was probably thinking, yes, Thursday's Read First victim.
This story teaches English learners so much. First, misunderstandings are normal. Second, English has phrases that sound like instructions but are actually labels.
Exactly, and it teaches the importance of asking one more clarifying question. Like, wait, is that the literal code?
But learners are too polite, too respectful, too scared to offend, so they just read half a book.
And that's why we use stories like this, because they help students relax. Mistakes become memories, and memories help you speak faster and more confidently.
And the humor makes the language unforgettable. It's like planting vocabulary inside a joke. You can't forget it.
Now, we're going to do what we always do. A shadowing version. That means I'll read the story quickly without pausing, and our listeners repeat after me. or speak along with me to practice fluency.
Shadowing is one of the best tools for learning English. It trains rhythm, speed, pronunciation, and confidence all at once.
All right, here comes the fast version. Listeners, get ready. Don't worry about being perfect. Just follow the rhythm. A researcher was visiting the United States for the first time last summer. While walking around New York City, the researcher got tired and entered a quiet library. They asked the librarian for the code to look up their topic. The librarian said, "Read first." The researcher thought she meant they needed to read something before getting the code. So they picked up a book and read for a few minutes. After reading, they asked again. The librarian repeated, "Read first." The researcher got confused and frustrated. Then they saw a sign saying, "Topic access code, read first." They realized the phrase was the actual code. They apologized, and the librarian said it happened every week.
Perfect, fast, rhythmic, and easy to shadow. I could feel the embarrassment racing through the rooms of the library at high speed.
Where we take this delightfully ridiculous story and stretch it into something actually useful for your English learning journey. George, I know you've been waiting impatiently for this moment, so tell me, are you ready to dive deeper into the chaos of our poor lost researcher? Because honestly, the more I think about this story, the funnier it gets.
I'm beyond ready. This story has been living rent-free in my head like a pet that refuses to leave even after you've stopped feeding it. I feel spiritually connected to the researcher at this point, as if I too have been politely destroyed by a librarian at least once in my life.
I love that, George. And today, we're not just retelling the story. We're digging into why short stories like this help learners absorb English 10 times faster than memorizing long lists of vocabulary. Because nobody has ever fallen asleep laughing, but plenty of people fall asleep memorizing lists.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Take the phrase "read first." In a normal textbook, that phrase would disappear from your memory in 12 seconds, but in this story, it becomes permanently glued to your brain thanks to chaos and misunderstanding.
Right. Humor activates memory in such a powerful way. It's like the brain hears something funny and immediately says, "This is important. We're keeping this forever." It's basically free emotional glue that sticks words in your brain.
And the best part is that the language in this story is simple but meaningful. It proves that you don't need complicated vocabulary to make progress. You just need words used in a situation that activates your emotions. Humor, confusion, surprise. Those feelings help words settle in your mind.
Storytelling works because it creates emotional pictures. When you imagine the researcher sitting in the library reading brochures about plants, you can feel the moment. That feeling anchors the vocabulary far more effectively than a list.
Absolutely. Visual memory is powerful. If learners picture the scene clearly, they automatically remember the vocabulary surrounding it almost without trying.
And it becomes easy because it feels real and funny, not heavy and academic. That's the true magic of storytelling. Effortless learning through emotion. You laugh, you remember, you learn.
And then, if you retell the story in your own words, your learning multiplies. Retelling is one of the most powerful speaking exercises available, and nobody uses it enough. Even a tiny retelling builds confidence, rhythm, and fluency.
Exactly. Just something simple like, a researcher misunderstood the librarian. Read first wasn't a rule, it was the topic code. Even short retellings like that strengthen your speaking muscles.
I've been shadowing this story myself for the past 2 days, walking around my apartment saying, "Read first," like a man possessed, which scared my neighbor and confused my cat. But honestly, it made my speech smoother, so I consider it a success.
Your cat is probably fluent now. But seriously, shadowing is incredible because it trains your brain, ears, and mouth all at the same time, and it forces them to work together like a little English-speaking orchestra. And this story, simple, funny, emotional, is perfect practice material.
Exactly, because shadowing works best when the text isn't too heavy or complicated. If you try shadowing Shakespeare on day one, you will either faint, cry, or both. But when you shadow a simple, funny story, it feels easy and natural and even enjoyable. Our researcher's suffering becomes your learning tool.
Let's explain shadowing quickly, because many learners still find it mysterious or scary. Shadowing means listening to a story or dialogue and repeating it at the same time, almost like you're shadowing the speaker's voice. You don't wait, you don't pause, you copy the rhythm instantly.
It feels so powerful. You're not just repeating words, you're absorbing rhythm, tone, emotion, speed, pronunciation, everything at once. Like downloading a full language update directly into your mouth. You start sounding natural without forcing anything.
And emotional stories make shadowing easier. When the story is funny, your brain doesn't get tired because it's enjoying the moment. And when your brain enjoys something, it learns faster without even trying. That's why we love using this little read first disaster.
Honestly, this researcher is a hero for English students. Their confusion is a gift to the world because now thousands of learners can practice the phrase read first with perfect rhythm and intonation. It's educational suffering at its finest.
And shadowing rewires your brain to think in English instead of translating from your native language. When you shadow, you don't have time to translate, so your brain switches into English mode naturally. That switch is what creates fluency over time.
And shadowing also helps with pronunciation without forcing strange exercises. Instead of holding your tongue in weird positions or practicing vowels like a singing student, you simply copy the sounds you hear. And over time, your mouth adapts. It's like natural evolution for your accent.
Yes, and here's something important. Don't wait until you feel ready. Shadowing works even if you feel messy, clumsy, or slow.
The messy phase is the good part. That's where fluency is born. Inside the chaos of trying, failing, laughing, trying again, and slowly improving. Consistency builds fluency.
Let's give our listeners 5 shadowing tips to use with this story. Number 1, shadow with headphones so the sound feels close and clear.
Number 2, don't try to say every word perfectly. Focus on rhythm first. If you catch the rhythm, the words will follow naturally over time. Fluency grows from the music of the language.
Number 3, repeat the story daily for 1 week. Short repetition builds big progress. Even 5 minutes a day creates noticeable improvement.
Number 4, record yourself shadowing. When you listen back, you'll hear improvements you didn't notice before. It also boosts confidence because you'll realize you sound better than you think.
And number 5, don't take it too seriously. Laugh when you make mistakes. The researcher would absolutely want you to have fun.
Yes, honor their sacrifice. Their confusion lives on so you can learn English with joy instead of stress. This researcher should have a monument at this point.
A library monument that says, "I thought read first was a rule." It would save thousands of students every year. And maybe make the librarian laugh again.
And that brings us to the end of chapter 3. Shadowing is powerful, fun, and life-changing for your English if you practice it consistently. And this story is the perfect starting point.
So keep shadowing, keep laughing, and keep practicing. Your English is growing faster than you think. We'll see you in the next with more stories, more lessons, and definitely more chaos.
Until then, keep your voice warm, your confidence high, and remember, if someone says read first, maybe it's the password, or maybe it's advice. Either way, you can shadow it.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like the video. See you next time, everyone. Happy learning and happy shadowing.